Hello again. Today started out really rainy. I got really excited about the rainy weather because I had quite a bit of work to do online, and I got excited about sitting in my sweater and sweatpants with a coffee and the laptop and just working my way through it. And I did that this morning for the most part, and unfortunately the sun came out. But I got through a good chunk of the stuff that I was working on, and I feel really good about that. I had a couple of unexpected conversations this morning. And according to one of the people who I was talking to, a bad breeze don't blow. I was really inspired to make another video after those conversations, because I understand that we are creating a little bit of a community, which I love. Community of people who resonate with a lot of the same things. Anyway, so today I wanted to touch a little bit on something that was a hard-won lesson for me, something that I had heard about before but didn't really understand. And so I thought I'd touch on it today to see, maybe save some people a little bit of time working their way through their own karmic cycle with this type. I wanted to touch on energy vampires. And we probably won't come across these energy vampires unless you're an empath, empathetic, sensitive. Energy vampires typically associate themselves with empaths. So this video is probably going to resonate most with those who are self-aware and can identify that they are empaths. So energy vampires tend to move through life not really learning how to replenish themselves, make themselves feel better. They might have a bad day or have something happen to them, and instead of sitting with it and feeling through it, maybe looking at, well, why do I feel this way about this thing that happened? What is it that I'm feeling about this thing that happened? Because sometimes you don't even know how you're feeling, or sometimes you might feel so many things about a thing that it's hard to identify any one feeling that you have about a thing. But these are not people who are going to have those come to Jesus conversations with themselves. They're just not going to do that because, I don't know, maybe they're afraid of what comes up for them when they sit down with themselves, for whatever reason. So instead, they can't resolve anything. They're kind of stuck because they don't sit down, think about, feel into, try to resolve. Because once you see a thing for what it is, you naturally move on from it. It doesn't hold as much power over you. It's like, I don't know if you ever played Crash Bandicoot or Super Mario. You get to a certain level, and at the end of that level, or there's a very hard section of the game that you have to pass before it opens up a new world for you. Every time you have something happen to you that brings up certain feelings for you that may be hard to look at, uncomfortable, maybe not just uncomfortable, maybe they're excruciating to look at. It just depends. But every time you can look at it, sit with it, understand how you feel, understand why you feel. It's like you move to the next level of the game, a whole other world opens up for you, you evolve. But these are not people who are going to evolve because they don't want to go into that section of the game because it's too hard. So the other worlds never open up for them. Instead, to get to the other world, they need to latch themselves on to somebody who is going to do that hard work for them. They're going to create that experience for themselves superficially by attaching themselves to people who are going to do that emotional work, so that they can then in turn learn the language that is used in that world that you have done the work to move into. So whereas they might appear to know what's going on, They don't really, because they haven't done the work. They might know the language. Might know the language, the things to say, the way to behave, but they have not learned the lesson. And so it's fake. It's almost like a hollow Christmas tree decoration. If you don't have a tree branch to hold it up and it falls, it just mash up. The other way that you're going to know is you're going to be able to identify sometimes that your exchanges, especially as they relate to anything emotional, are one way. They don't really have anything to add that makes sense. If you start to talk to them, for example, about a relationship that you have and how that thing makes you feel emotionally, what you realize about yourself as you work your way through that particular experience, you realize that they don't have anything to add. And if they do add anything, you're gonna be like, well, that doesn't really make any sense. It's because they're not really in touch with their emotional side. So they use the language that they've learned from you by you interacting with them in the past, but sometimes they use it incorrectly in a way that doesn't really, that it's not supposed to be used, or just seems off. They're not able to interact with you so that you feel really seen and heard, like you would with a friend who does that work, is going to generate energy on their own. And so they have it to be able to exchange with you on an equal basis. And so you walk away from a conversation with a friend who generates their own energy and you feel good. You don't feel like you've taken anything from them that doesn't belong to you. You don't feel like you have burdened them with things that don't belong to them. You feel like it was more of an equal exchange. You feel light, you feel seen, you feel heard. You feel like you also added something to that person, because inevitably when you have these exchanges with people who are doing that work for themselves and you are doing the work for yourself, you will exchange something. It's like currency where you give and you take and you both feel balanced. The feeling is different when you're dealing with somebody who is just there to take because they're unwilling to do the work themselves. And so therefore it would be harmless if it didn't mean that you don't get anything out of that exchange. And depending on how much time you spend with that person, it's depleting. It's depleting, and you'll find that it starts to manifest in negative things that start to happen to you. And if you're not aware, you'd attribute those things to all kinds of things, not realizing that this have a part to play in the way that you're feeling, in the things that are happening to you. Yeah, so it's just one thing to look out for, be aware of, take note of, examine. Pay attention to the way that you feel consistently when you're around these people. How do you feel? Do you feel confused? Do you feel like you can't focus? You feel extra anxious? And the way that you're going to know that you're attached to one is when you get rid of them. All of a sudden, you start to feel better. You sleep better. You can think more clearly. You're not feeling so anxious all the time. And if you feel anxious, then you know exactly why you feel anxious. Maybe you have to go tax office and you're here to go tax office, and so you feel anxious. But you can easily identify why it is that you're feeling anxious. Whereas when you have these people around you, you can't really identify why you're feeling a certain way. Yes, people, they're real. So don't dismiss it. I keep saying energy is real, and we can acknowledge that and work with it, or ignore it and let it work against you, creep upon you, just working against you all the time because you're not aware. You can thank me later when you're able to identify any of these people who might be in your life. Remove yourself and you start to see the benefits that show up. Also, another sign is if you start to try to create space between you and them, they will get upset. They'll react in unhinged ways. They will do things that seem disproportionately hostile towards you when you try to create that space. They make a big deal out of it, and you'll be left thinking, what? That's when you're really going to check that something was wrong with that exchange. If I try to create space between me and another friend, it won't react in that way. Chances are we'll be able to have a discussion about why I needed to create this space in the first place at a later point when I feel more balanced or able to have that discussion. Anyway, that's it from me, and I'll see you again.